Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the Roland P-6, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. SW Duano writes in and says, can the new Roland P-6 play back a one-shot sample over a 5 or 6 octave range using a Midi keyboard? The SP404 Mark II is limited in this way. I have the SP404 Mark II over here on the right, and yeah, I have to agree it is limited to the point where you can only go up or down an octave or 12 semitones. So if you want to go do more than that, you need to resample. For the most part, that's fine, but if you want to start doing very specific things, that can become a problem. And I have spent some time with the OP1 as my controller, and I've just got it connected over USB-C to USB-C between the two devices. So the P6 and the OP1 field have that connection. I have turned the track volume down on the OP1, so even though I have a sample loaded in the synthesizer, it's not going to play anything. Also, it is actually sending MIDI data over on MIDI channel 1, and as you can imagine, it's not actually triggering anything. To get into the MIDI menu, I just hold Shift and COM, and then just press button 1 to go into the MIDI. See, it's on channel 1. Hopefully you can read that on the screen. But if I go to channel 2, nothing. Channel 3, nothing. Now, the manual says you can actually trigger things from the Granular synth if you are on MIDI channel 5, but I have found MIDI channel 4 works for that. Now for the OP1, I have to exit out of that MIDI menu, and it'll remember the channel, so I can then go up and down the octave range on the keyboard and play around. And if I want to switch the sample, it's not a big deal. We just come in and do Granular, pattern, and just hit a pad. So I just switched it to the Granular is now on pad 1. That sounds nicer than what we had loaded, but again, I can go up and down the keyboard and play around with it. So I know you didn't ask that. We're going to move on to the next channel though, and we're going to get to your question in a second. Go back into MIDI. I'm going to go all the way up to channel 11. Channel 11 is the channel that you need to be on to just trigger whatever these larger pad samples are. So you can see like this note here is triggering bank B6. It's basically a note for note. It's just going to trigger whatever is on the pad. So that's like pad 6. I have to go down lower in the octaves to get these other pads. But basically you can just trigger whatever's in the pad. It isn't until you get to channel 15, and I'm going to skip. Okay, that's 15, not 16. Yeah. Sorry, the screen at the angle I'm looking is a little hard to tell the difference between 15 and 16. I guess that's just need glasses or something. Anyway, if you're in this mode, what you're going to notice is this bank 1 is a step sample that if I go hit keyboard, you can see that it's lighting up different notes. So if you want to get into the ability to play either specific notes, you have to be on channel 15, and that's going to allow you to address whatever your current pad is. So I can play those. Now, to answer your question though, if you want to actually stretch a sample over the keyboard, let's say we want to do this. I've just switched over to a different sample, so I can now go up and down the keyboard. And it actually does support a pretty good range. So I can go down all the way to -4 octaves. And I can go all the way up to +4. So I would say you can at least do plus or minus 24 octaves. Or 24 plus or minus 24 semitones, plus or minus 2 octaves at least. I don't have my keyboard that's actually got a larger range is across the room, and the OP1, this is just kind of how it functions. So anyway, SW Duano, I hope this helps you out and get an understanding of the P6, that it does have a larger range than the SP404 Mark II does, and hopefully that covers some of the other questions that other folks might have about MIDI. So just remember, channel 4 allows you to address granular. Channel 11 allows you to address the larger samples in the pad bank, in your pad and banks. And then channel 15 is going to allow you to address the sample either as a step samples for those subsamples that you want to get access to, or stretch that sample across the keyboard. Anyway, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.